Hi everyone. Today we are going to discuss the various tariff and non-tariff barriers levied by the government to intervene or to protect the exporters from the intense competition in the international trade. Now let us first understand the basic meaning of tariff and non-tariff barriers. See, a country's focus is always to increase the performance of its exports, right? Every country wants its foreign exchange reserves to be as maximum as possible, right? Because this is what leads or helps in economic growth of the country. See, when the exports of the country decline, the government takes various measures to restrict the imports, right? So, protectionism policy is followed by the government to defend the domestic markets and industries. Now, let us discuss various tariff barriers implemented by the government to prevent the imports, okay, to prevent the exporters from the import. Now the first one is the custom duty. When we talk about the tariff charged on imports, okay, they are basically known as custom duties. So it is levied on a specific and advalorem basis. Specific is charged on the quantity. Let's say, for example, I purchase one TV or 100 TVs, okay. So for one TV, let's say the duty is 100 rupees. So similarly for 100 TVs, it will be 1000, right? So 10,000. So basically, what is this? When the duty is levied on quantitative basis per unit, then it is specific. Apart from this, there is other one which is ad valorem duty. Herein, the duty is based on the value, okay, value of the goods and services. Let's say I purchase 1 lakh rupees goods. So on 1 lakh rupees good, I will be charged, let's say, 5%. So there is a slab for 2 lakhs, 10%, and so on, right? Now the other one is the safeguard duty. See, sometimes it so happens that the demand for certain imported goods rise heavily in the domestic market. So the government levies a duty for a short time on these goods. Okay. For example, we saw the case of solar cells demand rising very much in last year basically. So the government the government imposed a safeguard duty for a short time, right? Now the other one is countervailing duty. Countervailing duty basically relates to the imported goods when they enjoy certain subsidies from the home country. That is when their home country, that is the country of import, when gives them certain subsidies, okay, either on the export or the production part also, right? Given for sub export or during their production, then the country, that is the outside country, imports an additional duty which is called as countervailing duty. This is basically done to balance the prices, right? Then there is a very important duty, anti-dumping duty. See, sometimes it so happens that an outside country either sells at a loss, okay, either sells at a loss to reduce or eliminate the competition, which is also known as predatory dumping, or it sells unsold stock in its home market, okay, in the international market, okay, to sell the basically unsold stock. And also sometimes it uses marginal cost pricing to sell it at a marginal cost. It is just recovering the marginal cost of the product in the outside country, okay. And also sometimes it so happens it follows reverse dumping, that is it sells the product at a higher cost in outside country or in the outside nation, right? So here basically the government of the domestic country, okay, that is the importing country, basically is imposes a special duty called the anti-dumping duty. Okay, so and when we talk about dumping, it can be of four types: predatory dumping, right? Persistent dumping, sporadic dumping, reverse dumping. Sporadic dumping is basically when a manufacturer is selling his unsold stock or inventories in an international market, okay, to avoid the price war in his market, in his home market. Then there is predatory dumping, where he or she is selling at a loss to gain market and eliminate competition, right? And there is other dumping which is persistent, wherein marginal cost pricing method is used abroad while using full cost pricing in the home country, right? Then there is also reverse dumping, which I talked about. It is basically when you are selling locally at a lower price, okay, but in the outside market at a higher price, right? So basically the government, importing countries government, imposes various anti-dumping duties in reaction of this. And in India it is administered by Director General of Anti-Dumping Duties, whereas it is implemented or imposed by the Ministry of Finance through a notification, right? Now let us talk about the various non-tariff barriers which are used by the government to intervene in the international trade. Okay, the first one is the quotas. What are quotas? See, a numerical limit is placed on the goods to be imported for a specified period of time. Certain goods, so and so quantity of goods will be imported in a so and so time, stipulated time, whatever. So a quota is basically a numerical limit which is placed on the goods to be imported. Let's say 1 lakh TVs will be imported in 1 year, like this. Then there is other one which is subsidies, a payment given to the exporters to compete against the importers. Yes, the government basically gives a payment. Now, in two ways it can give the payments: either after manufacturing of the good has been done, or for the production of goods and services. Let's say I have made a laptop for export, right? Made many laptops for export. Now the government is giving me subsidies for exporting them. You export them, I will give you subsidies. But at the time of production also, the government, for the production also, the government can give subsidies. So this is basically subsidies, right? Then the other one is voluntary export restraints. In this, what happens is the importing country can request the exporting country to send product, okay, only a specified quantity, in a specified quantity, right? So it is known as voluntary export. So the importing country is requesting over here to sell goods from the exporting countries in a specified quantity only, right? So what did we understand today? We basically talked about the tariff and non-tariff barriers used by the government to protect the international, to protect the domestic market, right? So what are tariff and non-tariff barriers? These are basically the barriers used by the government to protect the exporters. But why do we require them? See, our focus is to increase exports, okay, as much as we can, so that we have lot of foreign exchange reserve, we have lot of foreign currency, and we can then encash that currency and convert into rupees, and that eventually becomes a very huge amount, and we can use that amount for fueling our infrastructure, many other things, okay, capital investments and all. Then we talked about the tariff barriers being used by the government, like custom duty, which is on the basis of specific, and advalorem. Specific is on the quantity, whereas advalorem is on the value basis. Then we talked about safeguard duty, wherein the demand when of foreign goods increases heavily, then the government levies a duty to curtail it for a specific period of time. Then there is also countervailing duty that the government imposes, wherein certain subsidies, when a importer receives certain subsidies from its home country, then the then the home country imposes certain duty, countervailing duty, to balance the prices. Then anti-dumping duty is also used when the importer involves himself in a bad practice. Okay, bad practice of importing. Okay, we discussed various type of dumping. Then we also talked about non-tariff duties like quotas. Numerical limit is placed on imports, so and so quantity will only be imported. Then subsidies. Subsidies are given to the exporters, right? Then let's practice some questions. Custom duties on which two bases: quantity, quality, specific, and advalorem, specific and quantitative. See, we discussed that it is on the basis of specific and advalorem, that is on the basis of value and also quantity, right? Then and let's practice next question. When a country restricts the quantity to be imported, it is called subsidies, internal support, quotas, none of the above. See, we discussed that when it restrict what quantity has to be imported, then it is called quota, right? So the correct answer for this would be quotas, option C. So this was all for today. Thank you so much for your time.